Welcome to TradeTheNBA.com. This is John. This report is for the 9th of October, and well, we're still within this broader short, having had the little pump up that came through. We had started the Delta V reversal, but when we gapped down on Monday, was really unable to take out the previous high. Again, we started to pop, and then the floor fell out. Not shockingly, we still hadn't had a green cross above cyan at this point. We knew we were in the broader short, and the fate of short-term buyers was enough to kind of, just let the sale come out a little bit. We know we have to retest this dip below, and it looks like we may do it sooner rather than later. We still have green over red, and that would need to cross over to really break down to expect to move down towards the lows over here at the beginning of August. So we'll see if that starts to make its maneuver. But at this particular point, unless steel turns around, as we head towards the steel moving below cyan, that would be much more significant from a selling pressure standpoint. It was pretty easy read during the day, which was beautiful because we put that on a Skype chat just as it was happening in pre-market. So it was right there for everyone to go right with. I know I put a little funny comments, trade with John and get yourself a yacht, whatever it is you're looking for, new car, you name it. From an NQ standpoint, we're meeting right at the key point here. A rejection now of green to cyan would really spell a much faster move for the NASDAQ back down to the lows. So a little bit of a difference in the readings between the NASDAQ and S&P right now, so we're getting a bit of a divergence. And a lot of that's that uncertainty. We've already moved through the period of new fund money that happened for the burst, and now they're sort of already getting caught flat to negative on it. Euro, there's still a lot of optimistic talk about the potential for a deal as the clock is starting to tick. We have DOC red above -13, green rising above, but there was rejection here with the cyan moving above. Any turn down now is not going to be pretty for the euro because it will break the lows. Likely to see that revisit anyway. The question is whether it would be sooner or not. So this optimism is sort of holding it at this particular point. And from a oil standpoint, we're still at the bottom of the range. Not a big deal. We expect that low to be revisited anyway. May happen sooner than not. And again, we're starting to see that kind of theme moving through the market. And in opposite, we should start to see gold catch a bid here and begin to be a safe haven as people pull out and need to put resources anywhere. And so then we turn to the lovely 5K, which was the beautiful chart. Started with a little pre-market rise, got right up to the 50% off that previous dip from before. And then this was the signal that I put up on the Skype chat right up here around that 29.43 range as it came in. It was just a nice confluence DOC spread. Even if you waited to the beginning or end of this secondary bar, which was the magenta bar itself, things cascaded. And even after they were done coming down to the bottom of the move here, we ended up with the blue candles, but an immediate rejection, as you can see right here, going forward. Now, when this happens, usually what I'm looking for when I see that would be my orange spiking. So that doesn't happen though until right here. So you can see how within this broader up move of red DOC, this is a little less attractive, even though I know I'm in a broad short because no reset of steel. I do have it above 13.5, which is effectively it coming from below. So a little more skeptical that this is going to fade off immediately there. But as soon as the orange makes its move, green coming down, fine, you can wait until you get the green cross below. What I like to do is sometimes I'll get ahead of it and look for pops in price to the high ranges if they come in and start to attack it that way, and then just look for the continuation, which would be green staying under red or red DOC starting to fall, and then that final coupling, which is usually the steel crossing below, and that's exactly what ended up happening. If you wait till that happens, though, sometimes you could already be all the way back at the zero level, which that would be a little bit more of a concern. That's why I like to be sometimes a little bit early. I mean, the fact that this was happening right at the 23% was exciting because, from my standpoint, if you can't get over that, then you've got some serious issues. And that's typically what we tend to see in protracted long downturns. I shouldn't use the word long when describing a downturn, but they can be of extended range. And so that's exactly what happened. And we continued that going through, and you can see this steel remaining all the way above throughout most of the action going through here. It wasn't until all the way down over here when we got the little base move, which, yes, it's to the 50%, but off of 50% that has been truncated dramatically at this particular stage, and not really producing any buy signals from that standpoint. Even though you get the reset, you still got green, well below red DOC in these cases. That created a nice dip, though, that produced what would be a significant and perfect buy configuration that we would look for. You get the steel reset, orange plummets, the green comes over from super oversold, and there it is. That's the one you're looking for. And then when the green and that meet, actually you get the green breaking above, so you know that one's going to have just a bit more activity. And that's exactly what we look for. When this DOC spread comes in place, problem is you've got steel coming from the bottom that is bullish, so you know you're likely to have a secondary run at things, and that's exactly what happened. We met the highs right there. Same thing with this DOC spread. You don't have with steel coming from above. You had the cross from below, which means it's still likely to have a little bit of a fade, but in this case, likely to be short-lived. And then as we came across a little bit later, this is a power-filled day. I mean, we just had a ton of stuff going on. Big difference here, where you actually had the steel coming above, and then it crosses below. This was a little late, and everything was still pretty tight, but there was still a decent short, even at this particular stage, when you're looking at it from that standpoint, because it does meet the criteria for all the things that you're looking for. You just don't really have a complete rollover of the DOC red. Let me just put a vertical line there so you can see the one I'm referring to. Because you had the move above here with the steel, it comes back below, and there it is. Yep, it still moves against you, and right up to the algo resistance and the cascade lower from the secondary DOC spread, which starts right here on this break of the ABM, which was all the way up at the 29.19 range in that, and then boom, instant pretty much decline on that one with dip below the red line, and you ended up with a decent pop because you have a reset of the steel, and as that came down, produced a little bit of a return, but you're still expecting dip back to the zero line because of the extreme histogram here below the red line, turning those purples. Turns out it meets that, but now you're in this again broader. You've gone a significant range without a reset of the steel, and then it just stays in that short configuration all the way through. And I think that will catch us up to where we are, a little too far there. And that catches us up. So we just ended up with the dip back below the red line on this most recent DOC spread weakness that we're seeing. So at least that's recent. So if you do get a orange move below and that, we could see a little bit of a secondary pop from this. We don't have any more dips below the red line to fill on that. But again, we're just revisiting these exact same levels that we've had before. Your 2905 to the 2880s, and below that is into the 70s. So same spots, no change, but some beautiful volatility. Just it's been fantastic, exactly what we were expecting to start this October. So it's been phenomenal. Nothing to say other than just positive things for what we expected and we're seeing, and the clarity that we have in understanding what's going on with the DOC, as well as being able to look at the shakeout and recognize that we've got rollover points versus points where we're going to continue uptick with our shakeout above the yellow line there. So all in all, great stuff. As always, though, I will put up interesting things like I did the other day on the Skype chat, and we will talk throughout the day. Trade well.